Alright.
Bluetooth mode.
Alright, this is kind of an experiment. It's really, really cold. But I'm going to do stand-up comedy in cold. Just to see if you could be funny in cold. Alright. So people keep telling me I live in a bad neighborhood because I built it myself. Actually, nobody says that because nobody knows that. They just tell me I live in a bad neighborhood because I live there. Thank you. Alright. So what's the worst thing about doing cocaine in a bathroom? This is like my closer already. Yeah, what's the worst thing about doing cocaine in a bathroom? You have to smell everything twice as much. Actually, it's not seeing your kids on the weekend. Like, that's the worst thing about doing cocaine in a bathroom. Hey everybody, I'm Mike Coppolino and I look like I smell. Yeah, I look like I smell. I look like drugs. Oh man. So I'm like the history of free porn. I don't know if you know that, but I'm old. I'm an old person. Like I was old when shit was cool, you know? Or I was young when shit was cool. I think that's how it works. I don't know what it means now. But seriously, I lived in a cool time. Like, I was in kindergarten in 1974. I was in kindergarten in 1974. I was 5 years old. And we made ashtrays in kindergarten. We made ashtrays in kindergarten. Like, we were 5. And we got graded on it. And then we brought them home to our parents. And our parents were really happy to see them. Like, that's how old I am. Like, nobody got sued. Like, the school didn't get sued. Like, our parents treasured our ashtrays. I don't know. So in the 90s, I actually injected heroin directly through my sweater just to keep from being cold. Like, I've experienced a lot of things. I've done acid, obviously. I've done acid over 250 times. Yeah, this year. Acid doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect me at all. It just makes me really sober and perceptive. You know? Like, sober and perceptive. Like, I don't care. I just don't care. This is what I need to do, be sober. Like, what is sobriety, really? I mean, come on. People were actually listening to jokes for a second, and then I, flubbed it up. So, I don't know. I was talking to my financial planner the other day. Anyways, after going over the books, we decided my best option for retirement would be to take enough drugs to hallucinate a condominium. That way I could sell the condominium, I could buy more drugs, and I could hallucinate a 3-bedroom house with a swimming pool. It seems like a great plan. Only trouble is, every time we meet this financial planner, we do all the drugs, and its office is still a coffee shop. Thank you. Alright. I don't know if you're a fan of William Shatner's music. You know, probably, if you're a William Shatner fan, you're a fan of his music. I should just rephrase that. You know, I'm a fan of William Shatner. I know he was from Captain Kirk, but I also know he has like 14 albums. And I've listened to all of them. Like, all of them. Even the bad ones. And I was listening to this one the other day. It was all covers. It was a William Shatner album. It was all covers. And he did a cover version of 8675309. You know, 8675309, that song by Tommy Two-Tone. But William Shatner's version was William Shatner's version. You know, so it wasn't very melodic. It just kept repeating the number until you got it. That was William Shatner's version of 8675309. It's like 86,75,309 8,675,039 yen. Yeah. 8,675, 309 yen. How many, you know, Jesus. It's like an art project, really, you know? Oh, gosh. You know, I think the easiest way to get into Hollywood is to just make a satanic movie to get 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, that's the easiest, that's the formula for getting into Hollywood. It's like the easiest thing to do. Like, all you have to do is like hire 4 contortionists and just get them to smile. That's it. You have 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. And you have a movie that's losing money. How can it possibly lose money? Yeah, contortionists are cheap. I know a few already. But since I know a few contortionists, it'd probably be worth like 10% on Rotten Tomatoes or something, or 20%. It'd be like a Slender Man rating or something. Somebody will be duped by it and think it was art or something. Oh, man. That's actually, I do want to make a satanic movie that gets 35% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like 35%. I'm aiming for like 35%. I think I could write a really good Satanist movie. Yeah. I mean, I know I could, you know. People say the hardest thing about being in the Illuminati is pretending you're not at the meetings. That's actually not true. The hardest thing about being in the Illuminati is staring at Iggy Azalea's ass and making sure it stays important. Oh, all right. You gotta make sure there's no kids around. Yeah. Actually, the hardest thing about being in the Illuminati is trying to get people to search for twerking videos with 57 views or less. That's actually pretty hard. Like, we have to like manipulate people into doing that. And then they keep, if we do it right, they just keep feeding each other. Like, every time you upload like a twerking video, they find it and it's like, it has like 50 views, but then all their friends see it and now it has like 50,000 views. And they can't understand why that's happening. Like, it drives them mad. And then they, you know, that's one way of driving them mad. Anyways. Can you imagine it? They would think they were popular. Like, they saw something with 50 views, then they saw something like one day later and had like 50,000 views. And they thought I was the first, you know, to see that. Yeah. Now, people are weird. So, how many popes does it take to screw in an altar boy? Speaking of jokes, it's a light bulb joke. Oh, now how should I know? I've repressed memories. All right. Where am I at right now? See that? I think I'm driving away audience by being conscious at some moments, and then like, oh, there's an audience. I better stop and like not think about it. Like, they only see like 15 seconds of what I'm doing. It's very disruptive to me, you know. So I've been doing street comedy for like 4 years now. Maybe 3 years. Probably 3 years. And I started doing this, like 2016. And it was nice at first. You know, I'd go out there and I did like 11 minutes for like my first one. And it was just me walking around like telling jokes. Like trying to tell all the jokes I could think of. For 11 minutes. So I did that. And then I did like 19 minutes, and I did 25 minutes, and then I did an album. That's how it works. That's all you have to do. It's very easy, actually, you know. But here's the trouble. Here's the trouble with doing this, is you don't get an audience, like, willingly. You don't get a willing audience for this stuff, because people have lives. And they don't want to, they have to move on with their lives. They don't get surprised and know, oh, we're going to stay for an hour in the cold and listen to this guy tell jokes. Now, what I get are people that hear the microphone and think their medication isn't working. I get schizophrenics. That's all I get for an audience is schizophrenics. Because I do it at like 11:30 at night when like nobody's around, and the only people that actually pay attention to it are like Lyft drivers for 10 minutes and schizophrenics, which are trapped by the sound, and they start clinging to like telephone poles and like light posts and fucking parking meters, and they just sit there and like make a silent scream, and then I have to like talk them down. Like they're in a rigor. They're like trapped. They're serious. It's like when I'm doing like this comedy, I feel like I'm fishing for tuna. Like I'm gonna catch a bunch of tuna and like this will be my audience someday. Like they'll be like watching from the alley and stuff. But all I get are all these like 3 schizophrenics that are like dolphins trapped in the net. And they just like squealing at me like to let them go. Like with their consciousness and everything. It's, you know, and they're emotional, you know, squeaking. You know, it's tough. Because I don't know what to expect, you know, when I'm doing that. Like sometimes I actually do get into like a conversation. And then I feel bad for recording it. So none of those albums actually exist. Because I'm not going to exploit anybody unless I get their permission. No, none of those albums actually exist. I actually erased all of those. But, you know, what can I tell you? What can I tell you about what I'm doing? But the first, you know, I've been doing this. I'm recording a bunch of, like, sets. So I'm recording a bunch of sets. This is, like, the 23rd set of, like, jokes. So I'm a little exhausted, I guess. You know, I've already recorded a bunch. Now I'm just, like, looking for places to tell jokes that are, like, indoors. Because right now it's, like, 20 degrees. I'm wearing, like, 4 shirts and a jacket. And I don't like it. Like, I feel like I still don't like it. It's very odd, you know? But anyways, I'm going to have a few residencies and I have a show. So if you're paying attention, I'll tell you about the show later on, like during the set, which is already like pretentious just for me, like advertising all this stuff during my fucking comedy album or whatever it is, the comedy practice. This is a comedy practice that's also like a comedy practice of advertising. Like, so all my advertising might be all fucked up, you know. Who knows? Oh, man. No, I actually do want to make a Satanic Mood at 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. But, not, you know what I'm talking about. I've already done this thing, but I'm going to do it again just for, like, shits and giggles. You know? I want to make a movie about a boy who inherits a parrot from his rich, eccentric uncle. And the uncle is this Satanist that lives in, like, San Francisco. And he goes to Sausalito and dances around naked with antlers on his head and does these rites with the Bohemian Grove. And he has billions of dollars. You know, he's a super billionaire. Like, they don't even count the money he has. Like, they can't. Anyways, this guy dies. And the boy who inherits all this money has to take care of the uncle's parrot in order to inherit the billions of dollars. Like, he has to that's the only condition of the whole, like, thing. He has to take care of this fucking parrot. And the parrot is, like, 80 years old. It's, like, a really fucking old parrot. Like, super, like, pissed off. Like, it's been there, like, 80 years. It's tired of learning your dance moves. It's just pissed. It's, like, mangy. It looks like a plucked chicken half the time. But it looks super evil, you know? It does. It's 80 years old. It's a parrot. And it's pissed off. And it has a huge vocabulary. So anyways, this boy inherits the parrot. And he gets this billions of dollars. But what the boy doesn't know is the boy is latently schizophrenic. Like, he's schizophrenic. So he doesn't know whether the parrot is talking to him or not. But he doesn't know if he's schizophrenic or anything. You know, it's like it's one of those things. Because this parrot, like, tells him to do a bunch of devil shit, like, in full sentences. You know, but it also gives him stock tips that really work. So it seems like, you know, the parrot has, like, as this is actually happening. Like, the parrot is actually telling him to do stuff. And the boy starts doing it. And he gets his fortune just keeps growing. And then he just starts killing people. Like, not even intentionally, just from all the, like, the investments he makes. He just starts killing a bunch of people. Like, all over the place. Like, whole countries, like, fucking die. You know? And it just drives up the stock. It just drives up the stock because people want to work harder, you know? And they want to save themselves. And so they all work harder. but it's all too late. It's like he just keeps reinvesting and keeps reinvesting, and finally he has like all this money, and the world just dies, and he dies. The kid dies, but the parrot like survives. Like the parrot survives all of this because that was the parrot's idea all along, because it wasn't really like a satanic parrot. It wasn't satanic at all. It was just a really smart parrot because it was 80 years old and it was like living with a rich person. So it got all this information. It became a really fucking smart parrot. It became really pissed off and said, I should have some freedom, I'm tired of these clipped wings. It's too late. It's like he's already mangy. He can't even fly. He just walks around. He's pissed off. So he kills every human being in existence. He kills the entire world off with like viruses and just great investments. And finally it's just like nothing but like parrots and crows. And then the parrots and crows just give each other high fives and say, while the cities burn, we'll have all the corn we can eat. And that's the end of the movie. It's just a bunch of parrots and crows flying around, with the end credits. And the movie's going to be called Polly Wants a Fortune. Yeah, Polly Wants a Fortune. And that's the movie I want to make, a satanic movie that gets, 35% on Rotten Tomatoes. But that's not the movie I really want to make. Like, actually, the movie I want to make is a reality show where I audition parrots for the movie that I want to make. That's actually the thing I want to do. I want to actually make the premise of the movie, and the movie is going to be starring George Clooney. That's important to like the whole thing. Like George Clooney is like the rich eccentric uncle. So because he's ready for The Shining. Like he looks like he should be in The Shining. He has the eyes and everything. That's how he acts. He's perfect for that role, So he'll be like involved in it, but the movie will just be a reality show where I audition parrots for the movie, and that'll be it, because that's what I'll do. Like I'll just be in a room somewhere, and there'll be a bigger room, like next to me, and there'll be like 150 like parrot trainers in that room, and there'll be a 2 parrot limit. So these parrot trainers can only bring in their 2 best parrots, and they're going to audition for Polly Wants a Fortune. That's the name of the movie, Polly Wants a Fortune. And they'll just be sitting there, with their parrots on sticks and like strings and stuff, being all psychotic in one room. Because these parrot trainers are already nuts. They have to be. Like they're just talking to parrots all day, looking for their big break. And they're all professionals. So we'll film all that. We'll film all of that. And I'll just say, bring in the next parrot, and these parrot trainers with their parrots will come into the room with 1 or 2 parrots, preferably 1, and then I'll evaluate the parrots. I'll see if they look satanic enough for the movie. Because it's got to be like mangy. It's got to be kind of mangy. It can't just be a new parrot. They should have read the instructions. Like that's why you only have a 2 parrot limit. You bring in your older ones, So I look at the parrot, see how satanic like the ratio is, how the eye and beak are all related to like stuff, and I'll evaluate the parrot's acting range, because parrots can act. Parrots can act because they have like, they could be all bitey and then they could be all lovey or dancy or whatever. Parrots have a lot of tricks up their sleeves. So I'll evaluate all their acting, and how close to command they could be. And then I'll say I'll keep in touch with you or whatever, or I'll say, we'll let you know. And then they'll leave the room. And I'll say, bring in the next parrot. And that'll be like season 1. No, that'll just be like the first episode of it, Because that's what a reality show is like. How are you going to do that? Like, you have to start with like the story of like these people, and then you got to like do the actual auditions, and then you boil this down to like 50 parrots and their trainers, or like 40, and you'll say, all right, your parrot has the right look, and it seems pretty smart, has a good range, so we got to see how smart your parrot is. You know, we got to see how, like, if it can learn its lines. So you got to make your parrot say invest in blood. And we give them 2 weeks to make their parrot say invest in blood. However the way they do it. However they're going to do it, the parrot has to be able to say invest in blood in 2 weeks. You know, I don't care how old it is. It's got to be malleable, you know? So we send all these people home, and they train their parrots to say invest in blood. And hopefully they film it themselves, because we're not going to like invade their homes. But we're going to tell them they have to do that, you know, as part of like the movie. We want to see the progress. And then, they'll come back with their tapes and everything, and I'll evaluate everything all professionally, you know. And we'll boil it down. We'll send them letters and everything. We'll tell them, you know, you almost made it. And we'll boil it down to like 5 people, like five parrots and their trainers. And we'll make at the final episode, the parrots will have to say their lines, you know. You know, because they got to be the Arnold Schwarzenegger of parrots. They got to be really powerful. And they'll say their lines, you know, they'll say their catchphrases, invest in blood, you know. And then there'll be one guy in the room, and he'll have a parrot, and what'll happen is he'll talk to the parrot, and the parrot won't say anything. He'll just talk to the parrot. And the parrot will just sit on his arm and everything, and it'll look crusty and everything, and I guess be vicious. I don't know. I don't care. And he'll get the part because he's like the actor for the movie or whatever. Like, I'll just say, I found the guy. Eureka. And all these people are going to be super pissed off. Everybody will be super pissed off. And that'll be the reality show. And the reality show will also be called Polly Wants a Fortune. Like, nobody will even hear this. So obviously that can't possibly happen. None of that can happen. Like, I actually ruined all the surprise. That's like an M. Night Shyamalan in reverse. I just ruined the whole surprise in reverse because I just want to like burn like several $1 million. You know? Actually, that's not the movie I really want to make. The movie I really want to make is a movie where I move to Belize. And I do a bunch of cocaine with Woody Harrelson. That's the movie I actually want to make, and the movie is going to be called Early Retirement. But actually, I'll just be smoking a lot of weed, so I'm not into cocaine all that much. There's no way he has the best weed. There's no way Woody Harrelson or these people have the best weed. Like, you know, like, I have to test it out. I have to see if Woody Harrelson has the best weed. Like, does he? Who am I, you know? Does Willie Nelson have the best weed? I have to test it out. I have to find out. Like, there's a whole mythology about this stuff. And, you know, I'm just saying. Like, is it better than wax? Like, I've smoked wax. I've smoked concentrates. I don't fucking care anymore. It's like too much at some point. Like, you just start throwing up on yourself. You know, I actually throw up on myself to protect my drugs. I don't do it because I'm fucked up. You know, I'm usually like smoking something and like I have my drugs in my hand. I just start throwing up. I just cover up my pipe with my hand, or my drugs with my hand, because I don't want to get them wet and like disgusting. Like, that's not really being fucked up. That's being like ahead of the game. Just, you know, that's just smart. It's just smart. Like, if you're gonna throw up on your car, just throw up on your chest. That's smart, because then you don't have to clean your car. And you just, like, you know, you brush off the vomit and you go right to work. That's what I do. I'm essential to my job. That's what I do, you know. Oh, man. I don't even know. Do I even do jokes anymore? I actually do pranks. Like, most of the time I'm just making people look up things on their phones. Like, that's all I'm doing. Like, it's not even like, is it even advertising to do that? I don't even try to make them look at my albums anymore. I just make them look fucked up shit up. Like You ever wonder if they schedule executions for April 1st or something, you know? I ask them that. You know, do they schedule executions for April 1st? It seems like it would be fucked up. It would be non-traditional to do that. And then I find out they schedule all executions on Hitler's birthday, 4/20. That's when they schedule all the executions that don't make the news. They all schedule them on 4/20, like every year. A big like lineup of like Nazis just getting killed on 4/20. Oh man, that would be a great like conspiracy, right? That would be a good one, you know. See, I want to make a urban legend where I would make people believe that smoking bedbugs will get them high. You know, that would be a good urban legend. You know, but only if you're a junkie. You know, if you were a junkie and you had a bunch of bedbugs, because 2 and 2 go together, you know, and you ran out of junk, you probably would be infested with a lot of bedbugs by that moment. And it'd be nice to like get them to think that smoking bedbugs would get them high, because you know they stored all the heroin in the exoskeletons of the bedbugs. Because that could be feasible. They don't have to actually like absorb the heroin. It could just be incorporated into their chitinous membranes, and these junkies might believe that. They might believe that there is heroin in the bedbugs, even if they don't believe it. They might believe it, and they would probably smoke some bedbugs, you know. And that's all because I want junkies to kind of take control of their lives, you know, and clean up their own shit. Because you know, because bedbugs travel. I mean, they do travel. I mean, some of my friends have bedbugs, and I'm sure I probably have bedbugs. So there's that, or scabies. That'd be horrible if I had scabies, because that would be like, it'd be a scabies house. And I'm like a roommate. You know, I'm a roommate with my parents, so my whole family would have scabies. You know, we'd have a family secret. That would be very punk rock, you know, not to know. I'm not itchy though. I'm not that itchy. I'm not itchy at all, really. I just work a lot. All right. Where am I at right now? You know, cocaine, heroin, PCP. What are these? Like, these are nouns. They're not really drugs. Like, if you want to start with real drugs, I mean, you start with bath salts. Bath salts are a real drug. You know? And they're a great drug. You know, just because some guy, you know, chews someone's face off on a bicycle path in Florida, that doesn't mean the whole experience is so terrible. You know, bath salts. You know, for every guy who gets high on bath salts and eats someone's face off anywhere, there's at least 2,000 people high on bath salts just visiting the emergency room with a shampoo bottle shoved up their ass. And then everybody else high on bath salts has a great time. You know, people get the wrong impression, you know? Like, everybody has a great time on bath salts. I think the problem is that's an urban legend. The bath salts thing is an urban legend. And the reason it's such an urban legend is because when that guy ate someone's face off in Florida, and that created Florida Man, by the way. I mean, that caused Florida Man to exist. It's a historical, like, certainty, actually. But when that guy ate someone's face off high on bath salts in Florida, 2 weeks after that, just 2 weeks after that, a rapper, a well-known rapper that was involved in Wu-Tang named Andre Johnson, unfortunate name for the guy, Andre Johnson, how can I say it? He chopped off the end of his dick in his apartment. Like, just, he chopped off the end of his dick inexplicably chopped off the end of his dick. And then he wrote a song about it. He wrote some lyrics, and then when he was finished, he chopped off the rest of his dick. He chopped off the whole thing. He started with chopping off the end of his dick, then he decided to go whole hog. Chopped off everything. And then he walked out to his balcony of his apartment and jumped off. And he landed like 2 stories down into the street. And I hope he died. I hope he died. But, oh man, I'm sorry. If he didn't, I'm sorry. But that happened. And for a long, and it was in the news. I couldn't help it. It had to be in the news. Like, everyone heard about it. And it was right after bath salts. Right after this guy ate someone's face off on bath salts. So everyone thought, oh, fucking bath salts gets another victim. It strikes again. This guy was high on bath salts. And everyone thought that for like 2 weeks. We all thought this was a casualty of bath salts, and this is why we shouldn't do bath salts, you know? But then we got the toxicology report back like 2 weeks later. Like, they actually did a thing to find out, and it was actually in the news. And it turned out he wasn't on bath salts. He didn't smoke any bath salts. He just smoked a blunt dipped in TMZ, and he had a bad reaction. And that's what happened to him. Actually had a psychotic break. All right? Let's be fair. He had a psychotic break. It had nothing to do with drugs. It's just sometimes that happens to people. It could happen to you. Anybody. So anyways, for a long time, we all thought, you know, that was bath salts. But it turns out that's what the truth was. So everything went back to normal. Like but bath salts are like, you know, people were afraid of bath salts. But also, we have a new definition of fucked up, you know? Like, if you're fucked up on drugs, like, we just created a new definition for being fucked up on drugs with bath salts. Like, with those two things. And one of them wasn't even, bath salts weren't even involved. Probably both of them, bath salts weren't even involved. It was just two guys that were, it was their time. All right? But there's a new definition of fucked up now. And that's what we have to deal with, you know? Because now, whenever I go to my dealer, I say, he hands me a random bag of drugs, I have to ask him, hey, is this going to, like, make me chop off my dick and jump out a window? You know, I have to say that. And he says, no, of course not. And I say, well, why are you holding out on me? I mean, I don't want to get fucked up. I want to get hospitalized. I want to get hospitalized. Anyways, that's the end of that joke. I don't know if that's a joke. I mean, how much is that? Where did I go? I don't even know where I went. I think I started with, like, making people look up things on their phones. But all of that is, like, you should look it up. It's all true. All of that is true. That's, like, history. Like, before phones. On phones, before phones. You already forgot that was history. And now it's history. You know? Like, I'm perceptive. I know what history's like. Like, where were you when Charlie Manson died? Do you remember where you were when Charlie Manson died? You had, like, a few days to know when Charlie Manson was going to die. Like, he got married right before he was fucking dying. You know, she was hot. It was like a press release. So you knew he was dying because you saw his dying face. So anyways, I was preparing for it. And there was like a lead-in, like 2 days before he died, where he's like, oh, Charlie Manson's dying in prison. So I was aware it was happening. So anyways, I was like depressed. It was just a day I was depressed. And I walked in to my house and I had a huge, like, tray of nachos. Like, not like the cheese nachos, like the real Mexican restaurant nachos with guacamole and, like, carne asada on it. It wasn't even carne asada, it was al pastor. I ordered it custom. Like, guacamole, al pastor, lots of cheese, no sour cream. Give me all the hot sauce you can give me. Like, I had everything all set up. And I walked into the house, I turned on the TV, and Charlie Manson was dead. He was right there. I was like, it was on. Like as soon as I clicked it on, Charlie Manson is dead. And I had nachos. And it just felt like I was celebrating by accident. I was like, oh, this is, you know, I don't know how to feel about this. I just thought it was just a great moment in the history of nachos. Like, because is there any better moment in the history of nachos? Is there a more nacho-like moment in the history of nachos than that? No, of course not. That was the most nacho thing there is. It's the most California thing there is. It was like a big scam. Like nachos and Charlie Manson together at once, dying together. Oh, man. Like they're making tacos out of nachos now. That's just gross, isn't it? Like how can you buy that? Ugh, man. People are afraid of clowns now. I don't even know that. Have you seen it? Like people are weak. They're afraid of clowns. I know because they ripped Ronald McDonald out of McDonald's like 7 years ago. Like they were scaring away kids. Like kids weren't buying burgers. So they ripped out every Ronald McDonald out of McDonald's. They ripped out the whole ad campaign out of McDonald's. Completely. It's gone. No more hamburger, no more Ronald McDonald, no more nothing. And they replaced it with this ad campaign where they say, I'm loving it all the time. If this is going to make you love the food anymore. And it was because people were afraid of clowns. That's why. That's why they did that. They just completely gutted their entire thing and said, all right, pay attention to the food. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. And they're thinking, oh, this is going to make the food taste better. Eventually, we'll catch up to standards. You know? So anyways, that's what McDonald's did. But as part of this ad campaign for when they changed it, I'm loving it, so I'm loving it. They had this deal, and I don't know if they still have it, but it's a deal that McDonald's had, where if you go into McDonald's on Mother's Day, and you call your mother from the restaurant, and you tell her you love her, from the restaurant, they'll give you a free burger and fries. They'll give you a meal on them. That's a real thing McDonald's did. And I saw that ad campaign, and I thought, wow, what a great way to disappoint mothers. What a great way to disappoint mothers. Can you imagine how short-lived that ad campaign was? It was like a day. It was a commercial for a day. And then they ended that commercial. Because can you imagine the calls people were getting from McDonald's on Mother's Day? You know, hey Mom, it's me. I'm at McDonald's. No, I stopped licking feet in that dungeon years ago. I'm much better now. I'm responsible. I'm a responsible human being. Yeah, I have a job. I participate in medical experiments. Yeah, I'm part of the team that cured Hep C. You should be proud of me, Mom. No, I'm still on the dope. Like, those are the calls people are getting from McDonald's on Mother's Day from kids. And what do they say? They're like, hey, Mom, I know, but I just had to call you and tell you that I love you. I love you so much. Thanks for the fries. Like, I'm going to Disneyland. I'm going to do heroin in this McDonald's just after I eat. Would he even be hungry? Why would he even be in McDonald's if it was like that scenario? Why would anybody be in McDonald's in any scenario? Ugh. I don't even go to McDonald's to take a shit. I don't go to McDonald's to take a shit because they scare you away. Like they're a better restaurant than that. No, whenever I have to take a shit, I go to Starbucks. If I have to take an emergency shit and I'm outside, I go to Starbucks. Whenever I do it, I try to justify it by feeling as a protesting against corporate greed, you know? I justify it by that, but then I pay for a cup of coffee as part of my protest against corporate greed. And I feel like that's like a national protest against corporate greed, to shit in a Starbucks. Because everyone's doing it. then that's the only reason they're going to Starbucks. Because there's no public restrooms. So that's what they do. It's not even a protest. It's like a business strategy. Actually, none of that's true. Like, that's not even like a thing. That there should be a national protest against corporate greed. No, I'm actually a handyman. I actually earn people's trust so I can shit in their houses. That's the whole reason I have a job. No, that's not true. I mean, come on. I'm in business. I mean, I can't say that and have my clients listen to that. And they know, because their house doesn't smell when I work in it. No, and if I have to take a shit, I just shit in a taco shop. Because if you shit over there, nobody's offended unless you win. Oh, I shit in the taco shop. I won the contest. You know, that would be like, people would be crying in there, not because of the smell, but also because of the smell. I think they'd just be saying, oh, I came here to beat that, and I can't beat that. Like, what'd that guy eat before this? Cancer? You know, that's what people would be saying. Oh, God. Sometimes you just say the funny thing, right? You just have to. Oh, man. Now, actually, I have I'm special. I guess I'm special. Because I have the largest collection of second-place trophies in the world. I do. I have the largest collection of second-place trophies in the world. I have 1,209 second-place trophies. I just keep collecting them. I'm obsessed. And they're all authenticated. Like, people actually came in second place, and then they fell on hard times, and I got their trophies for money. I bought their trophies, and they're like dreams. Like all their hopes. They could have made it, and they have a second place trophy, and I bought that from them. At a garage sale for like $5 or $10. Some of them are worth more money. But I had the largest collection of second place trophies. And I want somebody to beat me. I just want somebody to be more obsessed with second place trophies than I am. Just so they could take the title. And I could be consistent. Alright. No, I just want somebody to do that. I just want to know somebody does that. And I want you to look it up for me. Like somebody has the largest collection of second place trophies in the world. And there is a number for it. And they're out there. Ugh. They're out there. Competing with colleges and stuff. Ugh. This is like a dream I have, you know? That I could just say these things and all of a sudden it would just happen. Like somebody would like emerge from the shadows and oh, I have like the largest collection of second place trophies. Oh no, I do. Ugh. And then that would be a thing for like 5 days. A fucking meme. I can't believe it. I can't believe I'm being reduced to this. People say the hardest thing about being an Illuminati is pretending you're not at the meetings. It's actually not true. The hardest thing about being in the Illuminati is listen to conspiracy theories long enough to be blamed for them. That's the hardest thing, actually. Like, oh man. Like fire melts steel beams, right? That's how they make steel beams. That should just be obvious, right? Fire melts steel beams. That's how they make steel beams. That's it. That's it. No more conspiracy. Oh, man. It should work that way, but no, it doesn't work that way. So you have to keep up with the times, you know? You got to. You know. I actually have a conspiracy theory. I think that facts are conspiring to make me look idiotic. It's the truth. Sometimes I think the news is fake because people are holograms. Like, I do. I do. I saw a news story. Where Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer, was actually accused of mistreating dogs. He was accused of mistreating dogs. And that was a news story. How can that actually be news? Like, everyone just assumes Cesar Millan mistreats dogs. And that's how he became, like, who he is. They must assume that, you know? I would assume it. I would assume he had a room in his mansion and he had a bunch of dogs in it, and he just like chased these dogs around the room with a vacuum cleaner for 15 minutes. Like beating chihuahuas and stuff. He probably has a special room for that. You know, and then he rolls around in the scent of all this fear, and then he goes to houses and people probably think he's like the dog whisperer. Like, I bet that's what happens. That's how he trains dogs. You know, the smell of fear. They submit to it. You know? They probably smell that guy, who are you? Like Dog Cthulhu? This is like too much. You know, sure, I'll climb a ladder. I'll jump into a kiddie pool. I'll do your math problems. I'll be an accountant. I'll be your dog. I'll do all of this stuff. Just quit being the H.R. Geiger of dogs. And that's what I would think of Caesar Milan. Like, you don't talk to dogs. You don't whisper to them. You smell them. That's more realistic. They smell you. They smell the fear. You know? I know, because I train drug-sniffing dogs for a living. Because I have extra drugs. I do. I'm a freelance drug-sniffing dog trainer. You know? I train them to look at people's shoes to let me know who the cops are. Alright. See now? What is this? I should just start ruining stuff. Oh, man. I had to draw 5 hits of acid just to do my taxes. Like, that's how fucked up I am. That's what I need to be normal. Or just get by. That's the time where you should be doing acid. Like, when you're doing taxes, when you're looking at the codes, just put on your glasses and be on acid, you know? Just look it up. Like, I actually claimed an astral body as a blind dependent in 1989. I actually did that when it was legal. It was legal at the time. And then the stock market crashed, and they said, no, you can't do that anymore. It's like, that's not a valid deduction anymore. So, but I learned so much from doing it, you know, just knowing all the tax codes, like reading the books. You had to read that specific information in 1989. Like, I was fully autistic back then. And so now I just, like, I do acid just to keep up with, like, the times. You know, because all the codes change all the time. There's a major shift in all of these codes, like capital gains and whatnot. So I drop a bunch of acid now every time, like, it's due. So... And I've been audited, you know, sure, I've been audited. I've been audited 3 times. But every time, I don't worry about it at all, because I save all my receipts. I save all of them. Everything is in a bin, like with the year on it. Actually, not even the year, it's just in a bin, in several bins. But they're like close together. I mean, they're eras. They're eras of receipts. All right. So I've been audited. But the last time I was audited, this fucking tax assessor came up to me and he says, "Hey, Mr. Coppolino, it says here you have 19 sole proprietorships. You have 19 sole proprietorships. That's not really possible. You can't do that. You have 44 limited liability corporations. You have 44 of them. And you have this fucking non-profit corporation." He didn't say fucking, he's official. He said, "You have this non-profit corporation that exchanges currency between Malaysia and Greece. Malaysia's not even a country, and Greece is barely one. You know, Mr. Coppolino, how can you possibly exist on $4,000 a year?" That's what he said to me. And I looked at him and said, "Well, how do I even know I'm really here right now?" And I said, This is a coffee shop. Like, you followed me from a coffee shop to another coffee shop, thinking you were following me home to confront me. But this is not my home address. This is my billing address. And that's how you get out of an audit. You know, if you're good at it. Like, who has money? Really? Really? Who has money? I could be doing a show somewhere, you know? If you had money. But no. You have $15. That's not enough for gas. Oh, God. Where am I at? I should just do a closer. It's cold out, you know? And this is probably a performance. It probably is. It's something. It's a practice. This is like the 23rd practice of the comedy album, Jokes for Schizophrenics, which is just me usually telling jokes to schizophrenics and stumbling over that fucking like title. For God's sakes. I should come up with a better title. Well, I have like 20, like, I don't know, 19 more album length sets to do that before I actually have like a better title than Jokes for Schizophrenics. But hopefully they'll be inside. Like, this is actually more of an audition tape. Like, at this point it's an audition tape for being indoors because it is cold out. It's like 15 degrees. And I was funny in 15 degrees. You know, I didn't even have a special shirt on. I'm just talking into my fucking phone like a douchebag. So I'm just letting you know that the next one will probably be indoors. Like, maybe after a week. Unless I just decide to get a wild hair up my ass and do another one and just burn more money. I like burning money. You can tell from the jokes I've been doing. I love burning money. I don't, but, you know, I'm a San Diego comic, so we're just that way. You know, we're just that way. We're like, we were like we're the southern point of, like, Los Angeles. So, who knows what goes on there. It's like just desperate. It's like desperate, but so close. And so far away, you know. But anyways, now I'm here in this alley doing jokes. It's behind the High Dive. So tonight was behind the High Dive. On the small stage with, you know, all the anchoring points for cameras and stuff. You know. Oh, that would be fucking weird, wouldn't it? Like, you'd have to fence this thing off. And, like, people would sue you. We have the nail salon over here trying to take over the bar. So, they actually have this whole parking lot is empty because of that. So, it's a perfect stage, but it's also perfectly, like, appropriate for what I'm doing. Oh, it's fucking weird. Anyways, I will tell more jokes on, like, another recording. Like, because it's cold. That's going to be the end of the set. I ended it well. It's well enough, all right? It's a metaphor for whatever, for larger times. It's a metaphor for larger times, all right? Or smaller times. Anyways, I've been Mike Coppolino. You all have a spectacular night. And next one hopefully is like indoors. You know, or something. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, jeez. No. Alright, it's 53 minutes. So it should be edited. No, it was probably perfect for what it is. Alright, that's it.